welcome back to Motherhood Ministry Podcast. I'm your host, Shana, and as you can see, I'm in a different space. I just kind of pick spaces in the house, whatever works for me at the time, and shoot. I hope you guys are okay with that. I hope it doesn't bother you too much. But we're here. I'm tired. Today has been a day. So I've shared recently how my youngest is now sleeping through the night, right? Yay! But some days she's not. She's very fussy because right now we're also trying to wean her from breastfeeding. I'm not producing as much milk as I was when she was younger. My milk supply has gone down very quickly. It's not like what it was when she was first born. And for anybody trying to move onto something, it's sometimes like you're trying to stop something that you're used to. It's difficult, and that's something she's used to. She's also has a milk allergy, so we're trying to figure out what milk will work for her. We've tried so much different types of milks, from pea protein to soy milk to almond milk to oat milk. We haven't tried lactate yet, but it seems like, kids who are breastfed, it's like to them, breast milk is like the best milk that they could have. So she is struggling through that. It's a lot of crying, She's very upset. And it's not even me, because I'll breastfeed her, but there's nothing there. So it's like, girl, we gotta move on. There's greater things on the horizon. But welcome back, y'all. I wanted to also add how amazing her big sister is. It kind of breaks my heart, though, that she is a big sister, my eldest daughter. She is such a good big sister. It kind of broke my heart. Today, my youngest was really, really crying because there was no milk. So I was feeding her. She was fed. She ate dinner, but she wanted breast milk because it was time to go to sleep. But there's nothing there. So she was fussing and crying, and I tried to console her, and she wanted milk, but there was none. So she kept getting upset. And her sister, my sweet, sweet girl, she was like, "It's okay, Mama. It's okay. Uppy down." And they're basically the same height. She said uppy down. My daughter says uppy down. That means to be picked up. It's what she says to people when she wants you to pick her up. So she said uppy down to her sister because she was trying to pick her sister up, I guess, to get her to stop crying, to console her. She's like, "You want a hug?" And she's like, "Come on, Mama, come on." And she's like, "Play, play." And she tried everything, but my youngest was just so mad. She was very upset. So there's nothing she really could do to console her. But wow, I'm proud of her. But there's also a sense of sadness watching her feel responsible for another person's feelings. My eldest is very observant. She can read a room. Yeah, she's like very intelligent, this little girl. And I don't want her to feel responsible for her sister. I want her to love her sister, have her sister's back. But I think eldest siblings have this extra sense of responsibility for not just themselves, but for their siblings after them. And I low-key don't like it. I don't know how to navigate that, because watching my daughter at such a young age, she's only 2, feel that she can console her sister or help her, which is great. I love the emotional intelligence. But I feel like, I don't know, as her mom, I don't want her to feel burdened by anybody else's issues or problems or whatever they might be going through, right? As her mom, I don't want that for her. So that's just something I realized with my daughter today, and it kind of broke my heart just a little bit. I don't know, eldest siblings, if you could give me some tips or pointers on how to navigate that. I'm constantly encouraging her. I'm constantly telling her that. And as she gets older, I'm going to remind her that you're not responsible for anybody but yourself. And, as your kids get older, you begin to see their personalities and things that you could kind of direct them, like to be stronger in, or and I think that's what we should do with our kids. Like, if we see a good behavior, like my daughter caring about her little sister is not a bad thing. It's just, it can be. It can be when you think about it. Like, people could come into her life and suck that energy right out of her and use her. So I have to, even now at a young age, help her realize that that's good that you're like that. But to have boundaries and to have discernment and wisdom on how to navigate the way her personality is. I love that girl. She is so sweet. So as of today, my episode had already dropped on December 26th after Christmas. I did not map out my podcast. So when I realized that the podcast I recorded would be dropped on December 26th, it's like, oh man, I missed an opportunity. So Merry Christmas. Merry late Christmas, y'all. Merry late Christmas. And let's see when this podcast is going to be dropped. Can't find it. There it is. Okay, so this podcast is going to be dropped on January 9th of next year. So Happy New Year. Yay! We made it by the grace of God. I can't be too loud. It's still technically 2025. But if you're watching this, Happy New Year. May this year be a year of walking in your purpose. This be a year where you are strengthened as a mother, as a human being, as a person that is loved deeply by God, the creator of heaven and earth, the one who sent his only son, Jesus, to die on the cross for us. May you be strengthened this year, and may you know you're loved, and may you find purpose and walk in it unashamed and boldly. In Jesus' name. Happy New Year. So, once this podcast drops, my birthday will be 9 days away. So I'm trying to get at least 35 subscribers before my birthday. I'm pretty sure I'm going to hit that goal because I think as of now I'm at 31. So I'm just 4 subscribers away to 35. So hopefully I can do way more than just 35 subscribers. Hopefully. What else did I want to talk about? Oh, yes. So I'm just so excited about this podcast. The last podcast, I was discouraged. And this one, I'm a little bit more encouraged as God continues to give me this vision of what this podcast could be. I'm so encouraged. Next year, Christmas has passed, but next year, 2026, I have so many visions and plans that God has given me to implement for this podcast, Motherhood Ministry Community, we're trying to create. So one thing I'm trying to do is hopefully by next Christmas, sponsor at least 2 or maybe at least 1 family, a mother who cannot afford Christmas and is looking for help. This is the Motherhood Ministry community that I'm talking about and I'm trying to create here, where we can come together and support other mothers, not just financially, but in prayer, in advice, in just community. Community has so many aspects to it, and I'm trying to develop that through this podcast. And hopefully it goes further than I could even think. As God walks with me through these new ideas and implementing them for this podcast. There's so much other things that I plan on rolling out in 2026, and I hope you stay and join me for this journey of building a community of motherhood. So if you're here, welcome to the mothers, the aspiring mothers, and those who just want to hear a mother's perspective. Hi, thanks for coming. Stay a while. Before we get any further, please, if you're listening to this on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple, please do what you got to do to engage with this podcast so it can get to the people it needs to get. Be my hands and feet, please. Please. And if you're not following me, I'm on TikTok, Motherhood Ministry 2023. I'm on Instagram, Motherhood Ministry 2023. I'm on YouTube, Motherhood Ministry 2023. I'm also on Threads, Motherhood Ministry 2023. I try to stay the same throughout all of those platforms. So check me out. Yeah. So today we're going to talk about pregnancy and the difficulties. That was such a journey for me with pregnancy, and hopefully I can tell my story right. I'm going to try to make sure I tell the story in order and it's not all over the place. Like I said, motherhood is a journey even before you're pregnant, even before you're a mother. Motherhood starts in the lessons and the in the life we live and the family we're from and the way we grow up and all of that. Motherhood is all of those things. And then you become a mother, and those things add value or sometimes, unfortunately, decreases value to your motherhood journey. So for me, this was just more value that God added as I headed towards the path of being a mom. So after I met my husband, we got engaged. We ended up getting married in 2021, October of 2021. And we actually had a pregnancy scare in December. I say it's a scare because we weren't really planning to have a child and we were being safe, but things happened. So I bought a pregnancy test and it was positive. So I did what any woman would do. You call your doctor, let them know you're pregnant, and they schedule you for 8-week, I think, visit. And this was of December 2021. When that happened, shortly after scheduling that appointment, I mean, probably like a few days later, I began to bleed really heavy. So I called them again and I explained to them what was going on. And they brought me right in. If I think the same day, if not the next. I love my OB. She was amazing. And she called me and she's like, yeah, it shows that you probably were pregnant, but you're not. They did a test again and they're like, you're probably not anymore. And that was December 20. We were only married for 2 months. So I was not ready. We were not ready, but it was still sad. It was still sad because the thought of creating life with someone you truly love is great. There's nothing wrong with that. Babies are amazing. I was looking forward to it in a sense, and it really broke my heart. And that's when me and my husband decided that next year, the year following, 2022, that we would attempt to have a child. So that was the first miscarriage that I experienced. Now, January comes and things start getting weird for me, and I don't understand why. I began to be really tired, and not like that regular tired, like, oh, I'm just tired because I didn't sleep well, or I'm tired because I'm eating poorly. None like that. At that time, I was working out, I was exercising, going to the gym with a friend. I try to eat pretty clean. My husband knows I do not play. I try, even fast food, y'all. I'm not a fast food girly like that. I don't eat McDonald's. I don't eat Burger King. No shade to people who do. It's just not for me. It Because I love home cooked meals, it don't taste real to me. And this has been me since very young. I still could eat Wendy's though. I still eat Wendy's. I still eat Chick-fil-A. Very seldom, but I can eat them. But Burger King and McDonald's just, ugh. I don't like to eat out, even restaurants. I'll go and I'll eat stuff, but I prefer a home cooked meal. I'm the kind of person, I'm like, everybody come over. I'm cooking. I'm cooking. To me, cooking is a love language. Oh, if you didn't know this, you like my hair? I do my hair. to pause and say that. I did my hair. So one thing, and you know who did it? Who did who did my hair? I did it. We're gonna talk about it all. I did my hair. I'm very proud of it. I'm really starting to feel like myself again for a very long time because I had these kids back to back. I feel like I have not been feeling myself, and I didn't think I would ever feel like myself. I'm not 100% um, because I still don't have all my energy, but the fact that I could sit down and do my own hair is a sign. Prior to having my hair done, I had tried going to a salon for them to do my hair, and she gave me boneless twists. They were boneless. Those things were ugly. And I'm glad I could do my own hair because I can do it the way I want, the way I pictured it in my head, and do it exactly that because I couldn't come to myself to tell the lady, this is ugly. I couldn't. So I just said, thanks, tipped her, and left. She spent the time doing it, so I was going to be mean about it. So I was like, thanks, and left. But yeah, whatever I put my mind to, I'm going to do it. But anyways, cooking is my love language. If I cook for you because I love you. It's the way I say I love you to people. I love cooking. It's fun. So I don't eat out much. I said all that to say is I didn't understand why I was so tired all the time. I was tired all the time. And it was getting to the point I had started a new job. And I just couldn't get out of bed. And I'm the type of person who is a night owl. And I'm the type of person who also don't like waking up early, but it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. Like I chose to stay in bed because I could. It became so hard that I couldn't get out of bed, not because I I didn't want to, it's because I couldn't. I could not get out of bed for whatever reason, and I did not know. And I was so tired. I would be in and out of sleep. Like I'd wake up in the morning and I couldn't get out of bed and I'd go back to sleep and I'd wake up and I'd fall back asleep. It was like this weird, weird feeling. And to circle back to my childhood, because I did not have that stable life where it was like, oh, if something's wrong, you go to the doctor. Just a regular feeling like you're responsible for yourself, you know? And I was learning responsibility still. I was getting there. I'm there now. I had grown a lot, but that still hadn't hit me that, hey, if something's wrong, you go to the hospital, you go to the doctor. I did have what do they call that? Your family doctor. I had a family doctor, but it didn't hit me to go and get a physical and find out what's wrong with you. I just I was tired and I couldn't figure it out. To the point, there was one day I'll never forget. I was just so tired. It's like life was in slow mo and I was blinking very slow. It was so weird and I had absolutely no energy. I didn't feel like I was going to pass out. It just felt like my body had nothing. Like it could have shut down in any moment. But, anyways, so in 2022, I was just very sluggish and I just could not figure out what was going on with me. We still tried to have a kid. Lord, it's crazy. And I remember just one day riding in the car with my husband's mom after getting a positive pregnancy test and telling her. And then after that, miscarrying. Um, and I remember her saying to us, she kind of like dropped a seed in my life. She said, well, because we were talking about just how this world is and how crazy it can be. And she said, people who want to be parents in these times really have to fast and pray before having children because of this world. You really got to fast and pray before having your kids, that they're even covered before they're even conceived. She said something along those lines. And that's how I took it. So I was like, noted. You put it in your heart for later. And then we had four more. So we had one miscarriage in December, and then we went on to have four more throughout the spring and summer. And it was not until July of 2022 I found out I was pregnant again, and I was so excited, even though I had had four. I would call them chemical pregnancies. I keep saying miscarriage, but let me clarify. I mean, it's still losing a child because I conceived. Pregnancy test said I was positive. I'm pregnant. But it didn't go as far. Now, this one in July of 2022 did. And I think that was the last straw for me. Because in July of 2022, I got pretty far in this pregnancy to the point I had scheduled my 8 weeks appointments, because the other ones, I would hold my breath. I'm like, I'm probably not going to be pregnant for long. And so July 2022 was like the end of July. We got another positive pregnancy test, and I held my breath. And 2 weeks went by, 3 weeks went by. I was still pregnant. So I called the doctor's office and let them know. And they scheduled my 8 week appointment, which was going to be in the middle of August. It was mid-August. That was going to be my 8 weeks. And right before the 8 weeks appointment, I miscarried. And so I was really broken up about this one, because this one I had actually gotten so far. Still, I had not comprehended, guys, please don't judge me. I had not comprehended that there's something wrong with me. I thought it was like, oh, it's normal. They said, because I was Googling, and Google was saying, pregnancies don't always stick. And it was just giving stats like not every pregnancy sticks. And uh, how was Google wording it? Like something about like a certain percentage of pregnancies don't even become full term because of like the abnormalities and stuff. So I was like, oh, okay, this is normal. The possibilities are so hard, so you just have to keep trying. And I do hear people saying getting pregnant is harder than you think. So I thought this was normal. I'm 5 miscarriages in. Then I get another positive pregnancy test, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, I'll never forget. It was Thanksgiving. And I was so annoyed by everything. And I couldn't pinpoint why. And I'm a happy go lucky person, but I just could not pinpoint why I was so annoyed. Food tasted really good. Like, I was like, oh, this is so delicious. I couldn't pinpoint why all this stuff was changing about me. And I took a pregnancy test in the end of November, after Thanksgiving, after Black Friday, and I was pregnant. And this pregnancy, it was there and it was gone. I didn't even make it far with that one. And I remember that one completely breaking me. I remember being so sad about that one. And I remembered what my mother-in-law said, that sometimes when you want to bring a child into this world, fast and pray for them. So I said to my husband, I think we need to fast and pray for a child. And so he agreed with me. And so that's what we did. We fasted and prayed, I think, for 3 days. By then, I had called my doctor's office again, and she had record of me being there in December of 2021, and then calling to schedule an appointment because I was pregnant again, July of 2022. And I explained to her, between those times, I had, at that point, it was 6, 4 other miscarriages. So she walked in off the bat, which I love her. I did not take offense to what she said. She said, "You are so young. Why is this happening?" And she was right. I don't know. I don't know what's happening. So she referred me to a fertility doctor, and we went. And when we went to this fertility doctor, she was so sweet. And she basically was just telling me all the tests that needed to be done to rule out everything. Some of these tests, they flat out said it might be painful. My husband had to do tests. We had to do tests together. We didn't get far. We got to the genetic testing though. And the lady kept saying to us when the results came in, she said, "You have one abnormality in your genes." And she said, "I just want to encourage you to not be discouraged." Me and my husband had one that matched. Like we both carried the trait. And that increased our child's chance 1 in 4 to be born with that trait. And prior to that, we had fasted and prayed. And, you know, me and my husband, we came to the point of agreement that was like, no matter what, God is going to give us this child. No matter how this child comes out, no matter whatever they say about our child, God is going to give us a child. And we're going to accept what God gives us. And we're ready for the outcome because God had the final say. He had the final say. So we do the genetic testing. They ran blood work. They did a few tests on my husband. And by then it was like December going into the new year. In the same breath that they did the blood work and were waiting for the results, she also gave me these vitamins, y'all. I think they're called Thurologics. I don't know the name of these vitamins, but y'all, those were super expensive vitamins. But I don't know what they put in vitamins. I got a positive pregnancy test immediately. I started taking them vitamins when I started seeing this lady. These vitamins weren't normal. They were expensive and they were not normal. Quality vitamins. I felt my energy coming back. Mind you, I was still tired. I couldn't figure out why. And just taking the vitamins, I started feeling a shift and just me being able to wake up feeling very myself again, no foggy brain, nothing. And so finally, I got some answers with the blood work. And unfortunately, I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, Hashimoto's. It's an autoimmune disease of the thyroid. Basically, my thyroid was not producing anything that I needed for my body. Like, that's why my energy was low and I was vitamin D completely gone. Did not have any vitamin D in my system. So those two things were playing a part to why I was so low on energy, could not wake up, just foggy brained and just walking like I was like a zombie. And she immediately ordered for me to get on vitamin D and to go see an endocrinologist. So when she diagnosed me with the thyroid issue, she immediately put an order in for me for medication to help my thyroid and to take vitamin D. I struggled with deciding whether or not that I was going to take these. Eventually, I did decide that I was going to start taking them. Shortly after that, I found out I had COVID. By then, it was January, the beginning of January 2023. And so I was pregnant with COVID and a newly diagnosed autoimmune disorder. And my husband got COVID. We all just was COVID in the house. So they couldn't even see me. So now I'm panicky because I have this new condition that they're diagnosing me with. I have COVID and I'm also pregnant. I am holding my breath because I know what happened 6 times already. And here is the fertility doctor who I'm supposed to be seeing to help me, and is kind of out of reach because I can't see her. They said I cannot come into the office because I have COVID. So I just take my medication and rough it out. And by the grace of God, we are cleared from COVID, and I'm still pregnant. I was still pregnant. And I thought that would have been the end of it. Nah, baby. It was just warming up. So after finding out I was pregnant, we didn't even have to do any other tests with the fertility doctor. But up until 8 weeks, I had to drive up there every Friday to get my blood drawn to make sure my levels were stable for the baby. After the 8 weeks, I was cleared. But I remember my last visit with them, and the lady said to me, "How are you feeling?" And as soon as she said that, I was going to say, "Good." A metallic taste hit my mouth, and a nausea that I've never experienced ever in my life hit me. All of a sudden, my nostrils were awakened, and I could smell everything in the room, from people's breath to their hair to their shoes to their perfume. And I was immediately disgusted. I was immediately disgusted. And I couldn't even say good. I was like, I have a metallic taste in my mouth. And that's where it all started. That, oh, that's normal. When you're pregnant, almost everything is normal. She said, yeah, that's normal. That was my last visit before we caught a flight to go to my best friend's. I always say the secret wedding. She got married twice, y'all. Good for her. I love it. So they got married in a private wedding with just her very close friends and family. And then she got married the year following with the bigger celebration. But that Friday, we were cleared. The baby was good. We made it past the 8 weeks. I was cleared to just see my OB and endocrinologist. I called the endocrinologist and they didn't have an appointment until I think February or March. But I was okay with that because I was stable. They said my blood work's stable, everything. So it was my thyroid. I'm convinced it was my thyroid because they said your thyroid produces the hormones for you and your baby in the first stages of pregnancy because your child cannot produce it on their own. So my energy levels were coming back. I was able to wake up in the morning just fine. I had energy. I felt better, but I didn't know that another wave was about to hit me. It was going to hit me hard. So the last appointment we had with the fertility doctor, the next morning we got on a flight to Florida. And that's when it just started getting so bad. I was no longer myself. I was just sick, nauseous. Food was disgusting. And I'm a foodie, but food was disgusting. Smells, I could smell everything. It was disgusting. I thought that's as bad as it was going to get, but it definitely got worse. So we caught the flight and we celebrated my best friend, and it was just hard for me mentally trying to be there because of the way I felt. I was so excited for my best friend. She was beautiful. The private wedding, exclusive, and it was great. But anyways, so we fly back home, and I see the endocrinologist, and I'm trying to navigate having this new diagnosis of a thyroid condition. So I'm like trying to cut out foods, and I'm thinking it's the thyroid that got me turned off to food because I was diagnosed with it. So little did I know it's the pregnancy that makes me not want to eat anything. I was coming home and scarfing down stuff, but because of my thyroid, I was avoiding certain foods. So the food that I were eating wasn't doing much for me, but I needed to eat. I was so hungry, but so sick at the same time. In February, also, my best friend also found out she was pregnant. And I was excited because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to do this by myself. And I think that's like my kind of thing, why I don't want to do motherhood by myself, because we can all just get together and do it together. Having my best friend with me while I was pregnant, and maybe I should just invite her into this podcast. She'll probably be on a podcast. Was one of the best experiences. I'm so grateful that it happened that way. Just thinking about it, because pregnancy is hard, and your spouse can't fully understand what you're going through. As much as support my husband was, he did not understand the struggles that I was going through. And to have not just a friend, but your best friend, to be able to talk to and tell them everything, because she's somebody I could tell everything to, get real personal, you know? It was a blessing. And I, I don't think she understands how important that was, to have her be pregnant with me. And I'm just grateful. And now our kids are like 6 weeks apart, and we both had our difficult parts of pregnancy. And both of us had a difficult pregnancy. I'm not going to tell her story because that's hers to tell, but she was there for me. We were there for each other. I remember we would FaceTime each other. One would be at the hospital, like, oh my God, what's going on? And then I'd FaceTime her and I'd be at the hospital, like, oh my God, what's going on? And uh, it was a blessing. It was a blessing. I'm grateful it happened that way because I needed that. So things just start going downhill. February was great news. I was so happy to hear my best friend was pregnant, but also February was really tough for me and my husband. In February, um, that's when my symptoms got really, really bad. We had one car, a Kia, I think it was a Rio. I think we had a Kia Rio. And I get to work, and as I'm parking it, I kid you not, the wheel pops off. The wheel pops off the car. That same week, on Valentine's Day, I get a call from my husband that he's in the hospital because he almost blinded himself with a screwdriver at work. Mind you, I cannot eat. I am sick. And we don't have a car. Thankfully, my sister-in-law, she was in Israel, so she let us use her car while she was gone. So my mother-in-law comes to the hospital, and my husband was hungry. I was not, but she asked us what we wanted to eat. And my husband loves Jersey Mike's. I do too. So I just told her to bring me a chicken cheese steak, they call it, Philly chili. I don't know. But used to be my favorite. Until this day, I can't eat Jersey Mike's because of this experience. She brings the Jersey Mike's, and I start eating it, and it was not it. I remember going to that hospital bathroom and just throwing up, just throwing up everything, and then some. It was disgusting while I was pregnant, and I have not eaten Jersey Mike's because of that experience since then. So my husband's in the hospital, and by the grace of God, as they said, because of his contacts, that scrape did not cause any severe damage, but the inches closer, it could have caused some vision loss. And I was just so grateful. I was just so grateful. February was such a weird month. At that point, it was getting harder for me to go to work. So I had to write a letter to my boss and my supervisor and human resources, just letting them know, hey, just found out I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's and I'm pregnant. And at that point, I was not diagnosed with HG. HG is hyperemesis gravidum in pregnancy, extreme nausea, to the point like you can't eat, and it can cause malnutrition. And so, my husband was in the hospital on February 14th, and after that, it was like I was in the hospital every weekend because I was just so sick. We didn't have a car. I remember one night, it was so bad that I began to throw up blood. I could not eat. I was not eating anything. So I was so nauseous and throwing up that I was throwing up blood. And my husband called the doctor and was like, she's throwing up blood. And you know what they said? Yeah, that's normal. Because I was throwing up so much, my throat was raw and red that I began to throw up blood, stomach acid, and blood. That is the worst pain, y'all. A raw throat while throwing up stomach acid is the worst. I would not wish that on anybody. It was so bad. We Ubered to the hospital and they tried to put me on so many other medications, and to each their own, because now I believe in medication. I believe that medication was created. God has given us knowledge to create medication to help us. But I'm very leery of certain medications, especially while I was pregnant. I wanted my baby to have the best outcome. Not saying that that's what causes anything. It's just I was very cautious of what I put in my body while I was pregnant. Hey y'all. So I actually had to cut this podcast into two. There's a lot to be said about pregnancy, and unfortunately, a lot of us face difficulties in our pregnancy. If you have a story that you want to share, feel free to comment on whatever platform you're on. I would love to hear from you, and we can talk and discuss that. But this was part one. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please engage, comment, like, share, subscribe. And we'll see you on the next one on January 23rd when part 2 of Motherhood Ministry, Pregnancy and Difficulties is dropped. Love you guys. Thanks for sticking around. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye.